Hello, welcome to the studio today. We are going to be doing a color wheel and color mixing activity to prep for our painting project. So the first thing that you will need is an 8x8 square of paper, a pencil, and your table will need a set or palette of paints, and these are tempera paints. So they're a thicker paint. They dry a matte finish, so they're not shiny like they are right now, and they are opaque, which means you can't see through them unless you put too much water in them. So we'll be careful to not add any water to the paints, but dry our brush off in between colors. So you'll need a palette of paint and a water cup for your table, and then each individual person will need a brush. There are two types of brushes that you can choose from. We have a round brush, which has a round ferrule, which is the silver part, and it creates a point or a taper to our brush. It's a little wet, so I'm going to squeeze that water out. Okay, so it comes to a point at the end. We also have what's called a flat brush. So this ferrule, you can tell it's very flat, kind of like it took the round one and squished it. And so all the bristles are flat and come to a nice edge. So this paints bigger areas, and I like to use this to paint along the edges and to paint in wide areas. So this will come in handy. So you can choose which color or paintbrush you want to use. The last thing that you'll need as an individual, two things actually, you'll need a magazine. So these are sitting over on the counter with the paint supplies, and this is going to be our mixing palette. Along with our magazine, you're going to need a paper towel. Okay, so we'll have a paper towel, a magazine, a paintbrush, a water cup, and our paint palette. As we are working on this, we're going to need to set up our paper. So we're going to do that first by drawing some lines from the center of our paper. So I'm going to use Sharpie. You guys go ahead and use pencil for this. I'm going to Sharpie so that you can see it on the video. So I'm going to start with a dot in the middle. This is very similar to our pinwheel design drawing. We're going to draw 3 slightly wavy lines to each side of our paper, so it leaves some sections there. I'm going to flip my paper. I'm going to do 3 slightly wavy lines to that side. I say slightly wavy because you will be painting in between these areas, and you do not want to make this a nightmare for yourself, and you don't want it to take a week when it should only take a day and a half. All right, so I should have 12 sections for my color wheel. That is what we're creating today. Okay, after I have these lines, these 12 lines, I'm going to just do kind of a blobby circle in the middle and connect it back. Okay, and that will be for another part of our color wheel called the tints of color. All right, so the next step here is to label our colors so we know what colors go where. That's kind of important. So when we start this, we're going to start at the top, and we're going to start with red. Again, you guys will do this in pencil. I'm going to do it in Sharpie so that you can see the letters. So I'm going to red, orange, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, and red, violet.